Hello there and welcome to Cansanity. It's another beautiful day here in southern Ontario, and so I thought I would get in my garden and plant some of my tomatoes. And so before I do that, I thought I would tell you about what are the ideal conditions for planting or transplanting your tomato seedlings. So you want to start with a plant that is about 6 to 8 weeks old, and for a regular garden variety, that will mean that your plant is at least 6 inches in height, and that it will have at least 3 to 4 true leaves. And so that would be your ideal regular garden variety tomato plant. Now, I started some of my seeds. I was really keen. I started some of my seeds early this year, and so I have some larger tomatoes to plant, and here's an example of one of those. And as you can see, this plant is at least double the height of the ideal plant to transplant. Now, I'll show you in the video how to be successful at transplanting these taller tomato plants. And so we'll get to that in a minute. But before I do that, I'm going to talk a little bit about the weather. You want to make sure that you're planting your tomatoes when it is, hovering around 20 degrees would be ideal. 20 to 22 degrees. You don't want it to be rocking hot. That's going to put stress on the plant if you were to transplant your tomatoes when it's really hot. And you definitely do not want it to be too cool. You need to have overnight temperatures of at least 13 degrees in order for the tomato to transplant well. Now, if you're watching this video and you're from one of the northern parts of Ontario or Alberta, and you'd like to get started in getting your plants ready for the garden or even transplanting them early, we'll talk at the end of this video about how you can be prepared in the cooler climates of Canada. So you want to also have, it's not just the air temperature that you have to be concerned about when you're planting your tomatoes. You also want to have your soil in your garden at around 60 degrees Fahrenheit, which would be about 15 degrees Celsius. And I grow my tomatoes in a raised vegetable garden, and so the soil warms quite quickly in the sun, and so my vegetable garden is ideal right now for transplanting my tomatoes. Now, you do want to consider the time of day. The best time to transplant your seedlings is in the evening, and that is because you want to let the seedling get accustomed to being transplanted and without exposing it to a full day of sunshine. And so if you transplant them in the evening, then you're going to have a better success at transplanting your tomatoes than putting it out in the morning and then having it have a full day of sun. So you also want to make sure that you have all the equipment that you are going to use when you're transplanting. You want to make sure that you have obviously your shovel and your trowel, and you also want to make sure that you have your watering buckets full of water, and that if you're going to be growing indeterminate tomatoes, then you want to, those frogs, that's what you're hearing in the background, the frogs talking to each other. Anyways, if you're going to be growing indeterminate tomatoes, then you want to make sure that you have your stakes or your cages ready. And that's because when you transplant your tomatoes, you want to put your stakes in immediately, because you don't want to wait a week or two after that tomato's started to develop its roots and then stick the stake in the ground, because that could damage the root. So have your stakes ready and put them in the ground immediately after you've transplanted your tomatoes. Now, I generally grow indeterminate tomato plants in my raised vegetable garden, and so I like to use stakes rather than cages, and so I have my stakes ready to go. So I think that's everything that I have to tell you about getting prepared for transplanting your seedlings. And now we'll move on to the next part of the video, which is actually putting the plants in the ground. Hello there. So I'm back in my garden, about to transplant some of my tomato seedlings. But before I do that, I just want to talk to you a little bit about the soil. So as I mentioned, the soil in my raised garden is nice and warm, and so that's ideal for transplanting my tomatoes. I also in the fall add 3-year composted horse manure, and we turn it into the soil, and then throughout the fall and the winter we add peels and eggshells, and so we just keep turning that over in different parts of the garden. So my garden is full of great macronutrients and nutrients for growing plants. Now, typically I don't really add too much fertilizer throughout the year for growing tomatoes, but this year I thought I'm going to add some bone in the hole just before I plant my tomatoes. Bone meal is good for promoting root development in any plant that you're going to transplant in your garden or even in your flower bed. So I do use it to transplant any of my plants that have a good root ball, just to help promote the root development. But if you didn't want to use bone meal, you want to use a fertilizer that has a high phosphorus content. So any type of fertilizer will have the 3 numbers on the bag, and they represent, the first one is nitrogen, the second one is phosphorus, and then the third one is potassium. And so you always want to, in order to promote root development, you want the middle number of the numbers on the bag to be high, because that means that you have a high phosphorus content. And for transplants, you definitely don't want to have a high first number, because that means that the fertilizer you're using is high in nitrogen, and that's just going to promote leaf development. And at this point, you really want to just promote the root development. So for the first couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, you want to really promote root development. So if you're going to be using a fertilizer, use a fertilizer that has a high phosphorus percentage. So the potassium that is in fertilizer will help develop the fruit when the fruit comes, and it will also help the plant with disease resistance. So again, right now when you're doing your transplant, you really are mainly concerned with the phosphorus. So I'm going to add to each of my planting holes, I'm going to add a 1/4 cup or just a handful of bone meal, and then I'm just going to work it in. And it's okay if some of this comes into contact with the roots of the plant, so you don't have to worry about fertilizer burn or anything like that with bone meal. So we're just going to work that in. And then once that's worked in, then you're going to add your plant. Now I've already dug my hole, and this is about the size of 1 gallon. Here, this hole that I've got, and what I'm going to do is the plant at the center. I'm going to plant it up to the first set of leaves that are not really true. In fact, I'm just going to pinch those off, and so only what I'm going to see at the top are the true leaves. And so I'm going to plant it right up to about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches past the top of the soil. So you're just gonna, I've already watered the pot, so it's easy to remove, and it's less stressful on the plant. And then I'm just gonna put that in there, and then I'm gonna backfill. I didn't need to loosen up the bottom of the roots, because the roots haven't actually got to the bottom of this pot yet. And if you see when you take your tomato plant out, that there's all kinds of roots wound up on the bottom, make sure that you loosen the roots up. water it, or a basin, so that when you water it, the water kind of pulls for a bit before it moves into the ground. So I like to go about a foot in diameter around the plant and about 3 inches in depth. Just kind of get in there and like you're working in the sand with your kids in the sand castles. Now you're going to water your plant. You're going to water really deep. I'm just going to grab one of these buckets. Water it so that, see how it's all pooling there? And then you can let that sink in, and then you can water it again. So that's in a vegetable garden what you do. So I'm going to move on to the next plant. I'm going to plant that one, and then I'm going to start the video up again when I'm doing my transplanting of my last tomato. Okay, so I'm just filling the, decided that I'd show you this next transplant as well, even though it's pretty similar to the first one. So I'm just adding my quarter cup of bone meal, and then I'm just working that in, like I did with the other. And then I'm just going to show you that, see how tall this plant is compared to the first one. This one has a lot of true leaves, but I'm going to pinch off a couple because I don't need them. And you see there's some roots right at the bottom of this plant, but it's not wound up, so there's no real need to loosen that up too much. So what you do is you just pinch off a couple of the leaves, and everywhere along this stem that is buried, the tomato plant will root. Okay, so I'm going to plant it up to about there. So put that in there, and then I'll just backfill that. Making sure that I get a lot of the soil around the root ball first off, and now I'm going to fill it up the stem, right up to there. And by planting it deep, you're going to give that stem a chance to get really nice and sturdy, and so it'll stand up in the wind. So now we're going to just do what I did with the other plant, in that I'm just making a circle around it. And I'm just going to make a kind of a basin. I want to go up about 3 inches. So that when you water, the water will sit there for a while and then absorb it. It's just a good way to see just how much you're watering your plants too. So now I'm going to put some water on it, and you're always going to water your plants at the base, not over top. I ended up accidentally spraying a little bit at the top, but you want to just water at the base of the plant. And water it deeply. And then you're just going to let that soak in. So now we're going to move on to the next part of the video where I'm just going to do a trench plant. I'm going to trench plant one of the longer stemmed tomato plants. Okay, so I'm just going to transplant this tomato. So what you're going to do is you're going to dig a trench that's 2 to 4 inches in depth and long enough so that you get to the point here where you can just kind of have the top of the plant sticking up out of the trench. So I'm going to remove the first leaves. You don't need those. I'm going to remove the first 2 leaves. And I'm even going to remove this plant, this side there. That's the side that I planted down. So then I'm going to take the plant out, and you see that the roots are just starting to kind of coil around and loosen it up a little bit. And I'm going to plant it so that this leaf is up. So I'm just going to put the root ball down like that. And this is a little bit shallow, so I'm just going to take a little bit more soil out. A little deeper. Down, and then I'm just going to backfill a little bit underneath that stem. And I'm just going to fill that in. So remember, tomato plants like their roots warm, and so this is really ideal. It's ideal in colder parts of Canada because you're not having to worry about the soil being too cold when you dig your plants and plant them deep. And so the sun will warm that top of the root or the stem and cause the plant to root. And so now this will just naturally bend up. You don't have to worry about forcing it. You don't want to break the stem. It'll just naturally grow up. So lay it like that. And then not too much. You don't want to push too hard because you don't want to break the stem. So just going to add a little bit more soil on top. And then I'm just going to create a little bit of a basin for the watering. And you want to have that basin be about 3 inches. So I just realized I forgot to put the bone meal in this hole. Oh well, this one will not have the rooting. It had to have the bone meal. So what I'm going to do instead, because I forgot to do that, I'm just going to add some root booster. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Let's finish this up first. Okay. So I'm just going to water that deeply, just like I did the others. Soak in. And then I'm going to let that soak in. We're going to add the stakes. I'm going to show you how to do that. And then I'm going to add a different fertilizer to this, just to show you another option. Okay, so I'm just going to stake all of my tomato plants. These are all determinate tomato plants, so they need a support as the vine grows. So you want to put your stake in 2 to 4 inches from the stem. And you want to actually put it on the side of the opposite of the prevailing winds. And so my prevailing winds in this yard come from back there. And so I'm going to plant the stake here. And you want the stake to go down a foot. You want to make sure that it's good and sturdy. So this is one that hasn't pushed in very much, so I'm going to put that. That's about a foot there. Maybe a little short. I might get my husband to give a little muscle to this to get this in a little bit further, but you get the idea. You go down a foot. And so I'll do that for the rest of my plants, and then I'll talk a little bit more about boosting the roots on my trenched tomato plant. Okay, so I didn't put some bone meal on this trenched tomato plant, and so I just wanted to talk a little bit about root booster that you can buy. I use this for any of my perennials that I'm planting in my yard, and it has the fertilizing content that you want for boosting the roots of your tomatoes as well. This is, the numbers are 5, 15, 5, and so 15 being the middle number in the list of fertilizer content. 15 being the larger number, that's what you want. That's the phosphorus. So I added 15 mils to my watering bucket that's filled to a liter, and I mixed that up, and then I'm just going to, the water's settled, so now from the first watering, so now I'm just going to add my root booster. So that's about a liter there. And so that I'll let that settle in. Now, if you want to continue to fertilize the roots of your tomato plants, you could do that for about 2 to 3 weeks, and follow the instructions for whatever method you decide to use. Listed on the bottom of the root booster if you decide to use that. I did want to talk a little bit about the spacing. You might have noticed that I've planted quite a number of tomatoes in here, and I will have 12 in this space by the time I'm done. I still have some to plant back in here. We grow the indeterminate tomato plants for a reason, and that's because we can bind them up, and so then we can have good airflow in around our tomatoes. So we plant our tomato plants about every 18 inches apart, like 2 feet, 18 inches to 2 feet apart. Typically they recommend that you plant your tomatoes 3 feet apart, but we've had great success with planting them this densely because we choose to grow the indeterminate tomato plants, and we keep them to each pole. And so just so that you were wondering why I have these so close, there's one that I planted a little closer than what I would have liked, the two there, but we'll see how those do. So now I'm just going to show you a little video about how to do a container with a small determinate tool. Okay, so I'm over by a container that I'm going to use this year to grow some tomatoes, and I'm going to put one of my favorite tomato plants, it's called Manitoba, in the, well, it'll look like the front of the container here to you, but to me it's the back of the container because you get most of the sun over here. So that tomato plant is going to grow to be 2 feet tall, and it's going to bush out to about 2 feet. So I want to plant it to the back of the container, and then I'm going to plant some companion plants around it. So tomatoes like to grow with carrots, basil, marigolds, peppers. There's a lot of nice plants that you can add to the planter if you're going to put a tomato plant in a planter. So I've decided, since I grew a lot of my own basil from seed, this will be basil that I'll be using in the later part of the summer. I'll put that in with the tomato plant, and I have not put this type of tomato in a planter like this for years, so we'll see how it looks. I'll take a picture after I'm done, and I'll take another picture in 2 months, and then I'll assess the container at the end of the year and see what the success was in terms of putting the other plants in this container. So I'm going to put some jalapenos and marigolds, basil, and then my tomato plant. So we're going to start with the tomato plant. I'm just going to dig a spot for the tomato to go in. I want it to be, I want to bury that tomato plant right up to here. This little leaf it looks like it's breaking off, so I'm going to take that one off. So I'm going to just dig around and see how far that is. So I have to go quite a bit more. I have to go about two more inches. So I'm just going to get in here with my hands. I'm going to dig, get some of that soil out of there. Let's see where that is. That's close. A little bit more. Now in this container, we have not filled this container completely with potting soil. We like to mix. We like to put a little bit of our garden soil in the bottom. Then we add some manure, and then we put the potting soil on top. But if you're interested in learning how to create a pot with different soil, take a look at the video that I posted on Cansanity.com. So I'm just gonna take off the leaves that I said I was going to take off. Pinch them off. And actually, before I put that plant in there, I'm going to add my bone meal. So I'm going to add a quarter cup of bone meal. I'm going to mix that in. Now I'm going to plant my plant. Now the roots are nice and loose, they're not wound up, so it's good. I'm just going to put that in here. That looks good. So I'm going to just backfill that with some nice soil. Right in there, right around the roots. I'm going to create that little basin again. So that when I water it, it's just going to cool there for a bit. Now I've already watered. I always do this when I'm planting in a pot. I water the container first before I plant in it, because that's just easier on the roots for the plants that I'm planting. And so when I finish planting all these plants in here, then I'm going to water it. Okay, so I've finished planting all the plants that I want to put in this container, and I don't need to put a stake on that tomato because it's a determinate tomato plant, which means that it has a determined height. It's going to grow to 2 feet, and it's a bush variety, so it doesn't need to be staked. So I'm just going to put my water on it just to have it really soak in. Always water at the base, not over top. I did get a little bit on top of there, but when you're watering, try to water at the base. And so that's all the tomatoes that I'm going to plant tonight. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.